name is Yu-tze. I am a pediatric epilepsy specialist. I would say I am one of the most, if not the most, passionate about epilepsy camp. I was the camp doctor here for 5 years in a row, and this year I'm doing it again, sharing with another doctor. I would say, not from a bragging, but just so you'll understand, probably about 75% of the kids here, directly or indirectly, have come through me, because from the first year to the second year, the first year I came, only one of the patients was my patient of the children, and I saw what a wonderful learning experience that they could be with amongst other children who have the same seizures and epilepsy and have to take medications all the time. What a great opportunity that other children were missing out on. And since that time I've said to all sorts of kids, the younger kids, I said, you are going to camp. Older children whom I think would be good role models as 17, 18, 19-year-olds as camp counselors, I've sent them here thinking that they would be indeed just do that, kind of cool kids who have seizures and epilepsy, and the younger kids can look up to them and say, wow, I can be just like this person when I'm older. So on this particular camp, there have been 2 or 3 people who have said again that thanks for me to introduce them to the camp. I don't really do the work. I'm just the middleman linking, and I cover any medical emergencies and things that are here. And a couple have been here. No one really comes to camp just once, essentially. They've been here 2 or 3 years ago, and I even forget that the 2 or 3 minutes I invested to an older or a younger child and say go to camp, and they're here 3 years later, every year in a row, with one of their parents as staff and thanking me. And one of the mother's staff reminded me that the boy said that when he came back from camp, it was the first time in his life that he felt normal for a week, which is a tragedy and the shame. I will come back more to the kids, but I want to talk selfishly. I do speak, and I know a lot of epilepsy experts around the country and the world, and I tell everyone sincerely that I learn more about seizures, epilepsy, and the medications that I prescribe a lot from spending a week with these young children and the older children. And see, it's one thing to read about it in a book and see and spend 30 minutes, an hour in a consultation with a patient. It's another to live in a week of seeing how children actually have to live with 5 seizures a day, 10 seizures a day, and have to take 10, 20 pills a day without exaggeration. Whereas for me at the time, I would just write a script in 30 seconds and not think twice or 3 times about it, and to see the poisons, which we do have very, very good anti-epileptic medication drugs these days, but they are drugs and they all have side effects, to watch how the poor little children have to take it. It's learning. It's informative for me. It never came as a shock that, well, it came initially as a bit of a shock that almost unanimously when you talk to these children about seizures and epilepsy, and it's one of the few times they can talk with their peers as well as some adults who understand them, almost unanimously the thing that they say that is worse about having seizures or epilepsy, more than potentially injuring themselves or having a bad headache or something about the seizure, is that they may be teased or ostracized by other children. And to me it does, unfortunately I believe them, I can understand how it is, but it's kind of a tragedy that breaks my heart that a child who has 50 seizures a day at risk of breaking their nose or cutting their chin open or something, he or she, the worst thing that they're most concerned about is that other children pick on them or tease them and don't understand about seizures and epilepsy. So once again, it's great for all these children to know that they can be as normal and do everything, and that's one of the main goals and aims of this camp as well. Its motto is not another moment wasted due to seizures. So people may have seizures, we're still working on stopping them all, but they're still having seizures, but we're not going to let 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 seizures hold up activities, so the children with good supervision can go on to another activity, while if someone is having a seizure, for the rest of the group can go on to another activity to know that life goes on and they can live as normal lives as possible. That's been quite a ramble, dude. A couple of questions come to mind.
I have a question for you. What is the one thing coming to camp? What is the one thing you've learned because you have been immersed in these kids' life? What is one thing that you like actually saw it and you went, "Oh wow"?
Well, I think I did touch upon that.
Yeah.
But the
Well, you see their normal life, but I guess my question would be is like what we were talking about cutting.
okay, you know what? I'm gonna answer. I fully understand that with it's something that's gonna sound like the biggest cliche in the world, but the guts and the courage of the children and the families to have to just live through all of it. Like I said, for me, you know, I can spend 15 minutes in a consultation room on a follow-up visit and ask how many seizures you've had, 100 in the last 3 months. Okay, we'll put up this medication, add another medication. It's another to see how to live through those 100 seizures in those 3 months for the children and the people around them, that the families and their friends have to kind of pick them up and make sure they're okay, to reassure them that everything is going to be normal and go on. So I think it does take a lot of courage and commitment to just to live as normal as possible. And I do my bits with the easy bits to try and hopefully decrease or minimize. You know, our goals is to get 0 seizures with no side effects. We don't always get there, but it's a balancing act. And just to see that the textbooks will describe different types of seizures in epilepsy. When I said this earlier, but I mean it, I learned much more from this camp than I could listening to other fuddy-duddy doctors like myself lecture on what seizures are like. But to see some seizure types that, as an expert, I could not really classify them into a particular seizure type. Every seizure is its own, in a sense, and many children and their diseases do not read the textbooks, and they do different types. So I do learn from that.